What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is illegal in the US and legal in the world. So it's legal for us.
Potentially.
Potentially. I'm guessing it's going to be illegal for us. I suppose it could be comparing other aspects of the world as well. But it's illegal in the US, that is for certain.
Yeah, I think one of them is going to be the Kinder eggs.
That's going to be on here, isn't it? It always gets covered on these sort of videos. We've not checked out a legal eagle video on this. We've done the opposite, which is illegal in the rest of the world, but legal in the US. Yeah. I know, confusing with the words. So it's going to be interesting. Legal Eagle, great channel. Go and check them out. The link's in the description. But stay here first.
Stay here.
He's got enough subscribers, so you can stay here to the end and then go and check him out. Smash that button, smash the subscribe button. And are you ready?
I'm ready.
Kinder Egg's definitely going to be on here. But let's see the rest of them.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Welcome to America, the freest country in the entire world, which we know is true because it's a thing that people say. And you might actually believe that until you try to build housing somewhere or drink alcohol in public. But unfortunately, America is not the freest country in the world. In fact, according to some, it's barely in the top 20 freest countries. But the world is a diverse place, and one country's freedom is another country's criminal violation. And there are wide swaths of activities that are perfectly normal in other countries, but also very, very illegal in America.
No,
so
What?
Saw the flag.
Sometimes you can't 100% hear Millie over a video, so can you just repeat what you just said?
No.
I hope you heard that. I think she said that was British with the Norway flags there. Maybe it's the Norway ambassador in England.
It kind of looked a bit British, the kind of street vibe, but European. Okay.
There you go, European there.
Today, let's look at some international liberties that could get you fined or locked up if you tried them stateside. And some of these foreign freedoms may surprise you. But let's start with a truly evil and dastardly product, one that actually specifically targets children. I'm of course talking about Kinder eggs. Now, we like to say that children are the future, and here in America, the moment we find out that something puts children in danger, legislators pull out all the stops to ensure that we try to keep our kids safe. And that's why America has stood firm to cracking down on a grave and terrible threat to children's health and safety posed by toy-filled chocolate eggs. Kinder Surprise eggs, which famously contain a yellow capsule, which contains a small toy, have been a beloved staple for children around the world ever since the product's introduction in 1974 by Ferrero, an Italian company. But in the United States, these toy-filled treats have been classified as dangerous illegal contraband. And some background, in 1938, the US passed the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, which empowered government agencies to regulate food safety. And under consumer safety regulations issued by the FDA and the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the sale and distribution of any food with a, quote, non-nutritive object embedded is prohibited. And that includes toys found inside confectionery items. Now, although you can find Kinder Surprise eggs in Canada and Mexico, don't try to bring them into this country or you risk serious fines.
Wow.
In 2011, the US Customs and Border Protection, the CBP, seized more than 60,000 Kinder eggs from travelers' baggage and international mail shipments.
More than twice demand for them, 60,000. That's quite.
I love Kinder though.
Yeah, that is true. I suppose I say that's quite a lot, but we were talking about the US here. So many people are going to be crossing that border, aren't they? We have actually tried the American version, haven't we?
We have.
It's completely different.
It's weird.
It's weird.
It had that spoon thing, didn't it? Then half of it is.
It's like a little truffle. It was weird, weren't it? It was just something we didn't expect. So I can kind of get why you'd want this one, but I get it. It's dangerous. It is technically dangerous. I did get it.
Yeah, it technically is, but I feel like if you're watching your children
but
eating.
Why risk it? Why risk it, you know?
That's the number from 2010. This caused the CBP to issue a press release in 2012 warning people to try to stop sneaking chocolate eggs into the country. Quote, also known as Kinder eggs, these chocolate treats may be cute and seasonal, but they are too dangerous to children to be imported legally into the US. The problem is the small plastic toy inside the Kinder egg. While sold in many countries, this product is banned from the US because young children can choke on it. Now, some people have argued that these Kinder eggs are not a risk to European children and Canadian children because European and Canadian children are smarter than US children.
Smaller.
Now, a few months after the CBP released that statement, a married couple from Seattle was detained at the Canadian border when the pair was caught with 6 Kinder eggs from Vancouver. The couple was unaware that they were in possession of illegal ovarian contraband and was even more shocked that each egg carried a penalty of $2,500 per egg. Now, luckily for that couple, they were let off with a warning. But not to worry, American Kinder fans, because in 2018, Ferrero introduced a modified Kinder Joy egg that complies with US regulations. Crucially, the Kinder Joy is not actually an egg-shaped chocolate. It's half a chocolate egg with wafer bits inside, while the toy is kept on the other side of the egg egg away from the edible bit, which I guess is suitable for hapless American children. And despite the fear surrounding Kinder Eggs, there's little evidence that these chocolate delights are as dangerous as claimed. Now, there have been 7 reported child deaths between 1989 and 2016, a relatively tiny number in the face of billions of eggs sold. And furthermore, the packaging warns parents that the eggs are not suitable for kids under the age of 3 and supervision is recommended. But let's not leave food-based illegality, because while Americans remain deeply divided on a wide variety of issues, there's...
I mean, if you've been on this channel a long time, you know I like my cheese. So if that's getting banned, I ain't coming. Even I know it's not banned. Wisconsin.
It's also about children.
No,
it's not all about children, is it?
I was gonna say,
we're not talking about Kinder Eggs anymore.
The Kinder Eggs are about children.
I thought we were talking about Kinder Eggs.
This could be about anything. It's got to be a certain type of cheese, hasn't it? Because I know we obviously know Wisconsin's famous for its cheese. I want to go and try it one day. Cheese can't be banned. Surely we can't just be banning it now.
One thing that most of us can agree on, and that's that life begins at cheese. Now, over the last 40 years, our love of cheese, much like our waistbands, has grown. Between 1977 and 2020, we Americans have increased our annual cheese consumption from 16 pounds to 40 pounds every year. And I'm probably responsible for about half of that.
Yeah,
so needless to say, we Americans love our cheese, whether it's on pizza, burgers, or in the form of 64 Jesus-infused slices of American cheese.
Have you been up all night eating cheese?
I think I'm blind.
But if you're taking a cheese tour of the world, be careful what you bring back to the United States, because your love of cheese might just put you in legal jeopardy.
You guys enjoying that cheese? It's unpasteurized. It's illegal in this country.
In fact, many raw soft cheeses from France, like Bleu de Gex, Roquefort, or Reblochon, are illegal in the United States due to the FDA's strict cheese production regulations. Under these rules, cheeses made with raw, unpasteurized milk is illegal to import or sell in the United States unless it has been aged for at least 60 days.
Oh, wow.
The reasoning is, of course, food safety, namely to minimize the risk of foodborne contagions like Listeria, Salmonella, and E. coli. And after 60 days, the acids and salts in raw milk cheese, coupled with the aging process, begin to naturally kill these types of harmful bacteria. But here's the thing. Anyone who has ever been to France knows that the cheese is so much better there. And it's not just raw cheese. The FDA has also cracked down on certain cheeses just because they contain too many live insects. That's the case with Casu Marzu, a traditional Sardinian sheep's milk cheese that's intentionally infested with live maggots. Casu Marzu, which literally means rotten cheese, gets its special flavor from being left to rot out among swarms of fly larvae. And while I'm told this hellish-looking cheese is actually quite delicious, it turns out that eating maggots is actually a tremendous health risk, earning the cheese the nickname the world's most dangerous cheese. Wow. And as a result, Casu Marzu is not only illegal in the US, but in the entire European Union. But here's the thing. Anyone who has ever been to Sardinia knows the maggot-filled cheese is just so much better there. But the French have also been on the receiving end of big government's anti-bug eating crusade. In 2013, the FDA angered American cheesophiles by blocking the import of French mimolette cheese just because the cheese is naturally infested with cheese mites. And while most cheesemakers consider the mites a nuisance, mimolette producers actually encourage the microscopic critters to burrow into the rind in order to help the cheese ripen and produce its distinctively sweet, earthy flavor. Mighty. But the FDA has determined that eating too many mites could cause an allergic reaction, resulting in the ban of the Gouda-like cheese. And though the FDA has no legal limit on cheese mites, the agency indicated a target of no more than 6 mites per square inch, which mimolette simply cannot meet. So what are the consequences of contraband cheese?
We got a tip about some food entering the country illegally?
No.
Well, the failure to declare food products on your customs forms can result in fines of up to $10,000, and your unlawful cheese will be seized. But be forewarned, there is a thriving black market for cheese in the United States, and illegal cheese is very much on the government's radar. The Department of Homeland Security, you know, the post-9/11 agency responsible for protecting the country from terrorism and Kinder Eggs, has helped bust cheese smuggling rings into Canada.
Wow.
But unless you're a large-scale cheese smuggler, you're probably not looking at any jail time.
Wow, you got me. Good one. Making me think I was gonna die in federal prison, and that's super funny. You scamps.
So worst case scenario, you're probably looking at a fine and suffering the ennui of eating your dry, cheeseless crackers alone. But let's leave the food world and get into...
Lawn darts, by the way, or what is going to happen there. I don't know what to expect on that one, unless it's the obvious. Luckily, I mean, I know I bang on about my cheese. I'm a very basic cheese person. Mozzarella, cheddar, cheese strings,
That's pretty much
baby
it.
bells. Brie. I like brie. That's probably like the
Camembert.
most extravagant. Yeah, that kind of brie. But when it comes to mouldy cheese, anything with living stuff in as well, no.
No.
I ain't
Can't be
doing
doing
that.
that.
Let us know in the comments if you've tried these living organism cheeses. That's grim. That sounds grim, doesn't it?
Does sound grim.
Let us know if you tried it and what you thought of it, but I'll be alright in America because I go for the basics.
Yeah.
The basics are good. Lawn darts, though? That's got to be plain dots on your lawn.
Potentially.
You can't do it. We do it in the garden quite a bit in the UK. We do it in
Yeah.
pubs and maybe
Gardens.
if you've got a garden shed.
Yeah.
That's about it, isn't it? Garages.
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't know about your front lawn, though.
It depends if you have a back garden, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got.
This is something that probably makes a little bit more sense. Now, a source of pride for the baby boomer generation is that everything was dangerous and no one seemed to care. Yes, that golden era where we lined our walls with cancerous asbestos, medical professionals smoked in hospitals, and people sold chemistry sets to children that contained real uranium. So of
Wow.
course, as a society, we used to let kids hurl giant darts into the air with impunity and call it a national pastime. That's the story of lawn darts, which have been
it's a
illegal in the
sport.
United States since 1988 after being linked to thousands of injuries and the deaths of at least 3 children. Lawn darts, known as javelin
Javelin, we
darts
play
or
javelin at school.
jarts, was a popular lawn game in
You play javelin, you grab it, run and throw, don't you? Like
We
as far
have
as
the
you
ones
can.
with the big sticky things.
Oh, what? I mean, it
That's
lands in
cool.
the grass.
It lands in the grass.
I've never seen that. Never seen that before.
the mid-20th century. Gameplay was actually
I was
quite
thinking I
straightforward.
recognise that.
Players would take turns tossing giant darts into a circle placed about 35 feet away, all a cornhole, but with giant razor-sharp darts raining down from the sky instead of soft beanbags.
That sounds
Now,
like a disaster.
unfortunately, throwing a giant metal dart is a tremendous safety hazard, and government regulators eventually began to take notice.
This isn't child's play, according to the Food and Drug Administration.
The US's first attempt to outlaw the game was strenuously opposed by jart manufacturers who fought the proposed FDA ban in court. In
Oh, wow.
1970,
Basically took it to
manufacturers
court.
actually won a compromise that would allow the sale of lawn darts so long as it was 1, only marketed to adults, then 2, the product was no longer sold in toy stores, and 3, the product contained warning labels alerting consumers to keep it out of the reach of children. But unfortunately, these compromise measures were insufficient to prevent tragedy for aerospace engineer David Snow. In April 1987, Snow's 7-year-old daughter, Michelle, was killed by a lawn dart thrown by one of her 9-year-old brother's playmates in the backyard of their home in Riverside, California.
That's awful.
The dart hit her head with approximately 23,000 pounds of pressure per square inch, and Snow's daughter died 3 days later.
That's
The
awful.
grieving father then made it his mission to lobby public officials to take lawn darts off the market for good. Snow brought his complaint to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, who were persuaded to investigate Snow's claims. The commission discovered that over a period of 8 years, lawn darts had sent 6,100 people to the emergency room. 81% of those cases involved kids aged 15 or younger,
Dangerous.
half were 10 or younger, and many had suffered permanent injury, disability, or even death. In 1988, Snow prevailed in his crusade. The commission voted 2-1 to prohibit the sale of all lawn darts and had them removed from stores in time for that year's Christmas. And Canada also outlawed lawn darts in July of 1989. Now, if you want to play traditional lawn darts, you'll have to hop on a plane and visit the European Union, where the game is still legal. But here in the US, you can find a legal version with a modified plastic blunt tip that replaces the sharp metal tip.
I was going to say, like, why not just do that? Just a plastic tip, a little bit of a weight there. Simple.
Yeah.
It fixes all issues. Are yours plastic tip?
No, ours weren't. Ours were,
Proper sharp. Yeah,
Proper
that's,
sharp
that's
ones.
mad. I'm surprised
But
it's not
then-
outlawed everywhere.
in fairness, in Jersey anyway, I don't know if it was about the UK, but
Yeah.
in Jersey, our classes were small. There was barely
True.
kids.
All it takes is
then
one.
that's the garden game for like a couple of kids, isn't it?
Exactly, and all it takes is one to flip it behind the head to someone accidentally.
Yeah, and a few
someone
times
not
it
paying
almost hit
attention.
people.
Yeah, that's dangerous, man.
I don't know
That
if
is.
now. I mean, I don't know if now
It's
it
still
was only
illegal.
at secondary school. Though.
Oh wow, that is mad, isn't it? That is mad.
Because that makes
It was
quite
actually
a lot
a
more
sports
sense.
day event.
But that takes
Was it?
Sports day was one of the things on sports
Who
day.
can kill Hill?
Yeah,
If you
it
kill
was,
the other person, you win.
there was a sports day
Oh,
event.
that's deep. Wow.
This is something that's arguably even more dangerous: smoking. Now, for most of the 20th century, cigarette smoking was glorified as the ultimate embodiment of the American West. Things like tough guys, rebels without a cause. In advertising, doctors endorsed their favorite brands, while we were told that women found smoking men irresistible. But this image of health and sex appeal slowly began to change starting in 1964 after the US Surgeon General stated definitively that yes, smoking tobacco can be fatal. And research shows that flavored cigarettes largely appeal to and are disproportionately used by those under 18 years of age.
That is not how to inhale, Bobby. You're hotboxing it.
So, to help combat youth smoking, in 2009, the FDA banned the sale of flavored cigarettes, including cloves, cinnamon, candy, and fruit flavors, pursuant to the Family Smoking Prevention and Control Act. Though menthol cigarettes were exempted from the ban, as well as non-cigarette tobacco products like electronic cigarettes, cigars, smokeless tobacco, and hookah. But the US is not alone here, as countries with policies banning some or all types of flavored cigarettes include Canada, Brazil, Ethiopia, Uganda, Senegal, Niger, Mauritania, and 28 member states of the European Union, Moldova, Turkey, and Singapore. As for everyone else, well, not only are flavored cigarettes completely legal in the vast majority of countries, but the US ban on cloves actually created an international incident. In April 2010, Indonesia, the world's top producer of clove cigarettes and the source of the vast majority of those smoked in the US, filed a trade dispute with the World Trade Organization. In its claim, Indonesia argued that the US ban illegally discriminated against foreign products of flavored tobacco and created an unlawful advantage for domestic tobacco manufacturers. In September 2011, the WTO agreed, finding that the ban was indeed discriminatory because it prohibited clove cigarettes while allowing the sale of American menthol cigarettes. The opinion was affirmed on appeal in 2012. This ruling gave Indonesia the right to retaliate until either the US changed its law to comply or the two sides reached a settlement. And in 2014, the two countries reached a final settlement on the issue, ending their dispute. Under the settlement, the US agreed it would not arbitrarily discriminate against certain Indonesian tobacco products and promised to work with Indonesia on other trade issues.
Okay.
Now, a decade after the flavored tobacco ban, public health advocates seem to have been vindicated. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Adolescent Health found that the flavor ban was effective at reducing cigarette use among young people. In April of 2022, the FDA took additional steps against flavored tobacco products by proposing a ban on the sales of menthol cigarettes and all flavored cigars. In its proposal, the FDA argued that these actions had the potential to reduce disease and death by, quote, reducing youth experimentation and addiction and increasing the number of smokers that quit. Public comments will continue through July of 2022, but Kinder Surprise eggs are already banned, so the hard work has already been accomplished. But that takes us to the next American...
Ooh, jaywalking. I've heard of this one before. It does make sense for flavoured ones.
It does.
I mean, if you're, let's say, 15-year-old, your mates are potentially doing it, so that you may give it a go, but there's a high chance you're not going to like the taste. A lot of people don't like the taste. But if you can replace that taste with something strawberry...
You're going to like it.
Quote-unquote, by the way, because I don't think it's cool, but quote-unquote, look cool to your mates, be this person who smokes, and actually tastes like strawberry or something like that. You're going to do it probably, aren't you? Yeah, more appealing, is it? Whereas if you don't like the taste, it's more, why am I doing that? It's horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or some people still do it, but you get less. So I do like that idea. Do you know what jaywalking is?
No.
Basically walking in front of a car without a traffic light or crossing. So it just basically...
I hate people that do that.
But like, you could be walking across the road and the car be nowhere near you, like down the road, just coming towards, just walking across there. I'm pretty sure he's jaywalking. Okay. It's basically illegally crossing the road technically, and you can get pulled up on it, I think, in the US, but it's very rare. But it does happen.
American illegality, something you potentially might do every single day. Now, if you were an American pedestrian in 1903, crossing the street was a very simple endeavor. If you wanted to cross the street, you would just walk across the street. Before the introduction of cars, roads were seen as a public space that all citizens had a right to occupy, even children at play. But today, if you try and cross the street without using a crosswalk or cross the street when the traffic light is flashing do not walk, well, congratulations, you have committed the crime of jaywalking. Now, across the pond, some of our European allies have taken a more laissez-faire attitude towards jaywalking by making it totally legal. They just call it walking. Now, for example, there are no laws against jaywalking in Norway. The same goes for the UK, meaning that the Beatles didn't need to use the crosswalk for their famous Abbey Road cover. And the Netherlands used to have laws against jaywalking, but repealed these statutes in 1995 to simplify the traffic code and give pedestrians more freedom. In these countries, your right to cross the street freely shall not be infringed. But here in the United States, we've taken a more punitive approach to walking. Now, every year, cities like Los Angeles issue tickets to tens of thousands of pedestrians for jaywalking, which includes fines worth up to $200. But this was not always the case. In fact, ticketing someone for jaywalking is a relatively young concept in the United States. According to University of Virginia historian Peter Norton, the notion of jaywalking, with jay being an early 20th century slur for someone stupid or unsophisticated, was introduced by a group of auto industry aligned groups in the 1920s as part of a concerted pro-car, anti-pedestrian propaganda campaign. But when cars were first introduced, there were a few crosswalks painted on the street. Pedestrians generally ignored the ones that existed because they didn't need to. But as cars became more widely available, pedestrian deaths skyrocketed, with hundreds of thousands of Americans, many children, being killed in car crashes for the first few decades of the 20th century. Wow. So to counter all this negative publicity, auto industries sought to enact traffic laws that would shift blame from drivers and their cars to the pedestrians themselves. And it worked. Not only did cities and states begin criminalizing jaywalking, but the US government supported the anti-pedestrian propaganda campaign by ridiculing jaywalkers and placing blame on them for automobile crashes. And today, some criminal justice advocates believe jaywalking should be decriminalized altogether. But as an aside, you should all go watch Not Just Bikes and get orange-pilled, because it's kind of stupid that we've ceded all of this real estate to cars for both driving and parking, when cities should be for the people themselves. But I'll get down off of my soapbox. And while it might sound counterintuitive, countries that allow jaywalking tend to have lower traffic deaths, as pedestrians tend to cross more safely and when they aren't worried about criminal penalties. And criminal justice advocates point out that jaywalking laws have a very disparate impact, with tickets not evenly applied and enforcement disproportionately targeting people of color. So far in 2021, Virginia has heeded this call by becoming the first and so far only state to decriminalize jaywalking. And a similar bill to decriminalize jaywalking was vetoed by California's Governor Gavin Newsom in 2021. So for better or worse, if you want to stay on the straight and narrow in 49 of the US states, you'd better be sure to look both ways and stay in the crosswalk every time.
Make sure on a crossing.
For now. Okay, so maybe America isn't the freest country in the world after all, but you can take a stand for your right to exclusive content with today's sponsors, Nebula and Curiosity.
Fair play into the sponsor. If you want to go and check that out, the link is in the description to the channel. That was good.
It was interesting,
Some new ones in there. I feel like the jaywalking one, though, if you were, let's say if we went over there and we quickly just ran across the road, because there were literally one car miles away from that, you'd be fuming if you got fined $200, wouldn't you? I get that we should look into the culture and stuff like that, and now we know. But if you just haven't been told, and you're just crossing the road like you've done your entire life, you'd be annoyed, wouldn't you?
You would be.
Let us know in the comments what you think about that. Smash that like button if you enjoyed it, guys. Smash that subscribe button. Anything else to add?
Have a fantastic day.
And we'll see you legends in the next one. Peace.